Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion Show. I'm Gregory Harden II, and today I am here with Andy Kindler, who is a comedian, frequent guest on the Majority Report, voice of Mort on Bob's Burgers, and was Chancellor Tootie Tootie on Wizards of Waverly Place like a decade ago.
It does seem a long time ago, and you were probably But you weren't. Were you young enough that you experienced that first time around?
Oh yeah, Wizards of
Wow.
Waverly Place. Yeah, that was one of the shows I watched all the time when I was like 11, 12, 13. That was middle school. Yeah, it was middle school years for me. Yeah.
And I have the last words of the whole series. They have the last episode. They have like a game show, and I'm dressed
Yeah.
up like a host, and I say that. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we all cried.
Yeah, I
That was fun
remember
to work
that.
on.
Say what?
It was fun to work on. She was very nice, Selena, and
Yeah.
everybody was nice.
Yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop what you're doing. Okay. If you like this video and you like the other content on my channel, please hit the like button on this video. Also, go hit subscribe like right now. And also, when you hit subscribe, click the bell so you can get notifications whenever I put out a new video. So, thanks. All right, enjoy the rest of the video. I remember at the time whenever I saw that, I don't know where I had seen you before, like before Wizards of Waverly Place, but I recognized you for some reason whenever I was watching it. And
Everybody loves Raymond. I'll go through my whole resume. Everybody loves Raymond, maybe.
well, I never got into Everybody Loves Raymond.
Dr. Katz. Well, you
Mm-mm.
wouldn't.
No.
That was literally before you were born.
Yep, I was born in 98.
Yes, Dr. Katz was 95, 96.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right. You know what doesn't seem right? That I can't reconcile that people are that I am aging. I mean, I'm fine with it on one level, but on another level, I'm constantly surprised. So either that's early dementia, or I'm just always going to be a delightfully naive person or something.
Yeah. Oh, I feel the same way because, like, I mean, sure, I'm just 24, but I'm a substitute teacher and I mostly substitute for high school. And this is my 6th year being out of high school, but
Wow.
like, I like this one student today. She had her birthday was today and she turned 18, which means she was born in 2004. And like when I said that, I said to her, I was like, so you were born in like 2004? She was like, yeah. I was like, how I feel about that. I graduated kindergarten in 2004.
So you're going to be the same way as me. When you get older, which God forbid doesn't happen to you. I didn't think it was going to happen to me. But apparently, if you're Jewish, you have to sign an agreement to age. And then you have to agree to whinge and whine about it. Wow. But that actually gives me hope that the wonder that there's people born after you will never go away.
Yeah, it's not even so much that there's people born after me. It's that the people born in the years I remember, like being a kid, are now adults themselves or close to being adults. Because
right,
like that concept is like still weird to me. Like when someone tells me, like when a student says they're born in like 2005 or 2006, I'm like, and you're walking and talking and speaking full sentences? Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
That does. They're only 7 years old. That doesn't make sense to me. You're right.
Right?
Oh, they're 15. 2005
would mean they're going to be 17 this year.
Okay, then they can. Then I remember.
Yeah,
I couldn't stop talking when I was 17, but it does seem it's like it's there's a lot of I'm trying to think, is there a lot of verbal growth? I have no memory of what I was like at any age now, nor do I think that I've aged. No, forget about the physical stuff. I don't feel any different than I've ever felt. Yeah, which I think is either encouraging or sad that I haven't progressed at all.
Oh, It depends. I think it's good. I'd like to still feel the way, well, maybe not. Assuming things don't get worse, I would like to still feel the way I do now when I'm your age. But yeah,
You know what's so funny? You said you're running. What are you running for?
running for state representative.
And so as soon as do you have a picture of yourself in a suit somewhere?
I do, yes.
Okay, so that's it.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it up close, but I just assumed running for office, 35. You know what I mean? Suit,
Yeah.
42. 42. Why do it's so wrong? But I don't know. Is that the worst thing in the world?
No, that's good actually, because most people when they see me, they think I'm like a teenager or like younger.
Right.
Like
Well,
way
I'll never
younger.
get
Yeah.
used to people my age will never get used to your hat because
Oh,
they
yeah.
assume there's some kind of a problem. Like, what? What? Why would you?
Wear it backwards.
Yes. And then I like people who don't ever understand, even when as they're saying it, they're not going to want to understand. Why wear it backwards? Then they're already checked out.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents are actually closer to your age. They just turned 60 last year.
I just turned 65. Your parents are 5 years. Your
Yeah.
parents wouldn't want to hang out with me because I'd be too dull. Oh, that guy. Oh, there's the boomer. Your parents are
Yeah, they're
not.
boomers too.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they're boomers too.
And
They're
where'd you
born
grow
in
up?
61.
Oh,
Huh?
wow. Where'd you grow up?
Shawnee, Oklahoma. It's like hour east of Oklahoma City.
And where are you now?
I'm still in Shawnee. Same house that I grew up in.
Wow.
Yep.
I've been to Oklahoma City and I've been to Tulsa. There used to be a club called Jokers before you were born. Only 12 years before you were born, though.
Oh, wow.
They weren't good clubs when I played there in the 80s. They were terrible clubs. Both Jokers were.
Yeah.
We weren't progressive people didn't come to comedy clubs in the 80s and 90s a lot. Some did, but
Yeah.
when they got popular, it became kind of. But
Yeah.
I can't base my opinion. I'm just saying this. I'm not going to base my opinion on Oklahoma City on my knowledge of the Sooners,
Mm-hmm.
my knowledge of Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'm friends with the mayor of Norman.
Was that?
I'm friends with the mayor of Norman, Oklahoma. Yeah.
When I used to when I played there, the comedy there in the 80s, I thought that Oklahoma was like a national. When were they national champions? At some point, right?
You mean OU?
Football.
Yeah, football. Probably OU. I would imagine so, maybe. I don't keep up with the football that much, but
I do, though. That's where we're different. I do because I'm desperate to have something to get excited about. And it seems to be, I think it is football. Now that I'm settled on it now.
Yeah. But yeah, and also my parents are 60 and I'm an only child. So they had me, yeah.
Why do I say wow? Because I actually have been thinking now that I'm in therapy, been in therapy for the last few years, and you learn about sibling rivalry, but when I learned about it, but I never realized how typical it was. I just thought my family was crazy or whatever. So to not have that sibling rivalry means you never had that sibling rivalry.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
That's right. But that doesn't mean that I'm I don't want to give the impression that that's given me an advantage in life. I think it has. I don't know, but I do think I often thought I wanted to be I often thought being the only kid would be the greatest thing in the world.
It is.
That's what I would think. There's nobody competing. You're not dealing with somebody else's development.
Yeah.
Well, you must have good parents then too.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think so.
Oh my God. I'm glad we're not under oath.
Yeah. But yeah. Let's see. Episodes of the Green Corn Rebellion Show are sponsored by Oklahoma Progress Now. Oklahoma Progress Now is a 501c4 organization focused on building progressive power in Oklahoma. Their primary efforts are on developing progressive content for a 21st century audience, coalition, and capacity building across progressive organizations and causes, and working to see elected leaders who are more responsive to their constituents and the needs of the many. Areas of focus include progressive messaging and communications, coalition building and resource sharing, and focused progressive policy goals. You can check out their Twitch live streams, and they go live on Facebook at noon, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please support this organization. It's a really great organization. It's just getting started here in Oklahoma. Thank you. Now enjoy the rest of the video.
Why are you so loud?
No, it's just nothing. So let me start with some of my questions.
Say anything on your mind, please. Yeah, I encourage it. I like Rob, but in regular conversation.
What made you become a comedian, and who were some of your biggest influences?
Well, when I started comedy, actually, I was a musician before I was a comedian. So I was really, since I was born in 56, I was really influenced by the Beatles. Like I watched them when I had Sullivan. My sister was more influenced by them, but it would be hard to have come up during that time period unless you were born into a family of vaudevillians to think about stand-up then. I thought everyone wanted to be a musician. I would take a good, like I'd take a tennis racket and strum on it and all that kind of stuff. So that was my dream. And so I came to LA. It's a long story, but I came to LA in 1978 after graduating college in New York. And I came out to make a career in music. And I had a theater background too, and things like that. But when I came out, I was in cover bands for several years and miserable, just absolutely miserable. And then comedy wasn't my first I didn't think about comedy, but I always wanted to perform.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew I wanted to do something that would perform. And I was writing, so I was a singer-songwriter guitar. I was a singer-songwriter guitarist when there were literally 70 to 80 million singer-songwriter guitarists in the United States. Who didn't play a guitar in the 60s and 70s. So I actually think it's an advantage that I stumbled into comedy, because I didn't start comedy until I was 28, which I think is good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think any way you do it is fine. But it is good to have some kind of experience before you start talking about what else is in the news.
That's interesting. So who were like some comedians that you liked back then that like you took influence from or just enjoyed?
Well, I think it was like my first early memories were like Jackie Gleason, because I grew up watching old sitcoms. Well, of course they were old, Andy. They were the age that they were made when you were alive. What's interesting? I grew up with a lot of late 90s sitcoms. No, Andy, it's literally not possible. So I watched a lot. So like Dick Van Dyke I loved, and he was like a comedian. And then early on, it was like whatever was on, like Ed Sullivan or something. But I never listened to like, I learned Jonathan Winters and those people later on, really, and that whatever was on Sullivan, like Jackie Mason, I probably saw when I was a kid, but I didn't know that much about him. But I did listen to Lenny Bruce somewhat early on, but not even that. That would be in my 20s. So that doesn't even count. But I loved sitcoms. So I loved Mary Tyler Moore. I loved every kind of comedy type thing. I'm not good with remember. All of a sudden, my mind goes blank. Then, as I got a little bit older, I was really influenced by Letterman. was my by that show, and I was really influenced by Saturday Night Live. I had to stop prefacing everything with I was really influenced. Saturday Night Live. It came on in what, 75?
75, yeah.
Yeah, so I was born in 56. I was like 20 years old or 19 years old. That was a revelation to me. And also SCTV. See, now as my mind starts to work, this is what the doctor told me I can do these exercises. But I was really loved SCTV. And it happened to play just late at night in New York, where I grew up. And that was even more of a revelation, except Saturday Night Live when it first came out was such a sensation. It swept. Yeah. And also like Steve Martin, but not early on Steve Martin. I always was gravitated. The first comedians I really loved were people who just that they led with their sarcasm, kind of, you know. So Letterman to me was the king. I don't know why. I felt like an old Jew. He's the king of sarcasm.
Yeah, the second thing was, yeah.
I am an old Jew. I just realized that. This is factual now. Don't bury the lead, Andy. I'm sorry I got you off there.
You're good. But no, the second thing I was gonna ask was, were you ever like asked to audition to be a cast member or a writer on Saturday Night Live? And did you ever want to be?
I did want to be. I absolutely wanted to be. I think for a long time because it was so influential, but I never gravitated towards improv stuff. Like I was more like on my own, whatever I wanted to do. But I did want to, and then I did write a package for them of like skits and sketches and and stuff. And but I had just met my wife, but we weren't married when my wife, contrary to popular opinion, my wife was not married to me when we first met.
I'm gonna start saying that one.
Yeah, I think you should spread it around. My mind went blank again. This is what Josh has to deal with, my podcast partner. Do you remember what I was talking about?
Being on SNL or wanting to be on SNL.
Yeah.
You wrote a packet for them. Yeah.
Like in the early to mid 90s. And so if I had gotten the job and we kind of fell in love, if I had gotten the job, I would have had to have moved to New York. So I kind of didn't want it at that time, by that time. Also, by the time I was asked for that they actually allowed me to submit, and I also didn't live in New York. So even though I'm from New York, I lived in LA, so there was no proximity. I think I was too old by then. If now that I think about it, I think I probably would have jumped off a building if I had, at age 36 or 37, entered Saturday Night Live. I just see me up against trying to choke Goat Boy. You know what I mean? Just taking Goat Boy by the man. What if I was on with Goat Boy? What would I have done? What's that guy's name again?
Wasn't it
Jim Brewer?
Yeah. Like,
but so I didn't get accepted. I did submit to another sketch show. My friend John Ridley, who's now a writer, and we were trying to be a comedy duo, and we submitted for, I'll never forget this. I think it was in Living Color. Or was there something on after In Living Color? Mad TV or something like that.
Yeah.
And so we're on and we had never gotten writing. Well, John obviously got writing jobs, but I never got a writing job. And we had pitched this idea of the portable suicide machine. So it's like, you remember the Kevorkian with the suicide machine? So we pitched the suicide machine. And so they asked on their end I think it couldn't have been, when did In Living Color go up? I don't know. It's not important. They said, they go, that's pretty good. What would the machine look like? And both John and I are like, we talk about that for years afterwards. What does that mean? And then we both kind of said, oh, it has little tubes and wires and things, portable things. So I was interested in being a writer, and there was a time period where I was doing more writing. I wrote for a show called Comic Strip Live? Do you remember that show? No. Why am I saying this? What's the point of bringing up? Why don't I bring up more things that you can't possibly? The only way you would have known it is to go out of your way as an adult to learn it, and you wouldn't have done that. You weren't going to go watch 2 drink minimums. You weren't going to dig in as an adult into VH1 stand-up spotlight.
I didn't even know they had that.
You are not going to, even 5 years from now, go Caroline's on Caroline's Comedy Club, something like that. There were so many shows. Steve Martin, not Steve Martin. Who's the guy from the who can't stop his leg? Robert Klein. He hosted a show about comedy back in the day. You think you can edit this together and make me look coherent? Seriously. Nobody will interview me. And they say I go on tangents. I don't think so. I think I'm locked in. Rocks up. They also say it's annoying to see a 65-year-old man drink his protein drink. But you know what it is? I have something with blood sugar. I have type 2 diabetes, I think. Or I'm fighting it. I don't understand. I don't really quite get it. I see commercials where people are thrilled to get down to where my reading is now. So can't we just forget this whole thing and go back to, no, I haven't had a sugar drink in like a year or a couple of years, maybe.
That's good.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I started cutting back on sugar years ago because I knew that it was likely that I would maybe eventually get diabetes. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stop eating candy.
Candy, I should have thought earlier about candy. You kind of right?
Yeah, like candy's not necessary. Like I can give up candy. I haven't really eaten candy in years. Like occasionally maybe, but like
But as a kid, did you shovel it in?
Did I what?
Did you shovel it in as a kid? Or you
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Like, Halloween, trick-or-treating, all that good stuff. But I was also limited in the candy that I ate too. So like I liked Starburst and Skittles and Tootsie Rolls, but like I didn't really like a whole lot of other things. Like if it revolved around those things, that's what I liked. But I didn't really like candy bars like Twix and anything that had peanut butter, caramel in it, and like anything like that.
Yeah, but I definitely relate to the either wanting something or not wanting something. So like I love Starburst, but Tootsie Rolls, you can take them or leave them. You know what I'm saying? If I pass a Tootsie Roll on the street,
just walk in there.
Yeah, I don't care if a Tootsie Roll introduced itself to me and said, "Please eat me." You don't still like Tootsie Rolls? Oh, you're off the Tootsie Rolls completely.
Yeah,
right?
I haven't had Tootsie Roll in like at least maybe 10 years. I don't know. Like I don't even remember eating. It's like I stopped trick-or-treating when I was like 13. I think 13 or 12 was like the last year I went trick-or-treating.
Right.
Because I know when I was in high school, I never trick-or-treated. And
yeah, I think Halloween was the one that Halloween to me was the most depressing holiday because I mean, it was the first holiday that I realized that it's going to I remember loving it for a couple of years and then it wasn't cool anymore. So it's like the first thing to go away like that.
Yeah, like I was never that excited about Halloween, really. Like I went as the same thing pretty much every year. I went as a doctor because I had a doctor's bag with a whole bunch of stuff in it and I could use it to put candy in. And other than that, that was it. Like I didn't really care much for it. Like I think that last year I didn't even eat a lot of my candy. I just like let mom and dad eat it because I didn't really want to like have
this
it.
Is
like
the only child thing. See, here's what I think is you see, like in my family, we had to figure out where my mom was going to hide the sweets so that she hid stuff from us. With your family, they gave you everything you wanted, right? I'm not even saying a spoiled level. I'm just saying. Why am I assuming?
No, you're right. Like
being an only child, you said you liked it, so that's why I thought maybe you had a great life where do anything you want and go to sleep whenever you want.
I wouldn't say all that. I'd say the sleep thing. Yeah, when I got to high school, they didn't really care so much about when I slept, but there were still boundaries. Like there like what makes my upbringing different from most people my age is we had dial-up internet. We didn't have high speed anything, and I didn't have a cell phone until I was 17. So if I wanted to talk to someone, I would have to call them on our home phone. Or if I wanted to use the internet, I would just use it to like read news articles and Wikipedia pages. I could use it to watch videos. I couldn't download things or anything like that. Like I wasn't on social media. My parents would let me on social media. So it was either watch TV or like the only way I could listen to music was like buying CDs, and I would buy them, put them on our computer, and then upload them to my iPod. so that was my existence as a teenager and as a kid. Like I didn't have the same experience as everyone else with their, phones that they can text whoever they want to whenever they want and use the internet however they want.
Did you like
I actually say what?
Did you like the town you lived in?
Did I what?
Like the town you lived in?
Oh yeah. I liked it. Still do.
You never said I gotta get out of it. I gotta go to the big city. You never said that.
No, because after I graduated high school, I lived on campus at my college that I go to, and it's about hour, 10 minutes away. And it's like a suburban city that's like also kind of a college town-ish type thing. But and I didn't like it because I live in the country and living in like a big city next to a bigger city was like, why would anyone want to live here? It's too noisy. Noises everywhere. Like, because for me, it's like where I live, if you hear sirens, like a fire truck or police sirens or ambulance, you have to go outside and go see what's going on. But if you live in like a big city and you hear that,
right,
you're just kind of like, you have that impulse to go find out, but it's like, wait, why does that matter to me exactly? I probably don't know. Like, and then after you hear it like several times a day, like I kind of just started saying like, someone's in this town is dying almost every day. Like, why would anyone want to live here? This is insane. Like, I don't know. Like, I just couldn't, like, I just can't deal with it. And then the traffic was terrible. And no, it's just not for me. But I like the town I live in, and I still live here, and it's great. But yeah.
I like where I live. But that's because I'm in the valley.
Let's see here. But yeah, I got into Saturday Night Live whenever I was in middle school. And because the reruns would come on VH1. And what was it? And they also played like the documentaries about the show during the different decades.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would do is I would go on Wikipedia and I would print off the list of cast members that have ever been on SNL, and I would just read through it. And so like to this day, if someone says a random name of a person, I can say what years they were on SNL. And it's like,
that is pretty good.
It is. And it's kind of scary to me sometimes because like someone will just name someone and then it pops up in my head and I'm like, am I correct though? And then I'll go look it up to make sure, and I'm like, oh, I was correct. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something I could throw you off with, but I couldn't even make it. I can't do Charles Rocket.
He wasn't on very long,
right? But I can't even think of anybody from the year where Lauren left. I can't think of any of those people.
Yeah, but like it's funny. It's an interesting skill, I guess I could say.
Right, different periods. Well, it's also the way you probably categorize it.
I don't know. I mean, like some things that like for some of it is easy because like in 95 there was an overhaul, so like only 3 people stayed.
Yes. Well, you could
And
definitely identify the Phil Hartman years or the
yeah,
Simpson years. Yeah, you can start to put together a crew of people, Farley and all that. But
yeah,
I think it's an age thing with me where for some reason your mind after a certain age doesn't want to keep any information in anymore. Like I can go back to a specific year,
hmm,
and if I burrow in my brain, I can start to open up other memories and stuff. But it's not like my whole life is
yeah,
uh reaching behind me that I can just pick.
yeah. Like, and then I remember, what was it? I remember renting season 1, or was it season 2? I want to say it was season 2 of Saturday Night Live, but I watched that on DVD when I was in middle school. Yeah, SNL is still like, it's like one of my favorite shows, and I wanted to be on there. And I used to write sketches on my iPod when I was in middle school, and some of my friends and kids at school thought they were funny, and I wanted to be a comedian for a while. And then eventually I stopped wanting to be a comedian, and then now I want to be a comedian again. And I don't know, it's
Oh, you have you done stand up now?
I haven't, but I people have told me that I should, so I probably will eventually.
Yeah, it sounds like you want to do it. It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, like I will, but right now I'm just too busy with too many things. And
I'm too scared of germs. I haven't been. I'm really what's the word? When you're hermited up.
mhm,
I'm just not leaving the house. I can't. And like I don't go to improv or any of the clubs to go for spots because I don't want to catch a variant
yeah,
right now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring us down.
no, you're
Bringing Joe
good.
Rogan's conspiracy theories.
No, no, you're good. That's understandable. I kind of have to be in places around people all the time, but
Hmm?
I said I kind of, yeah, but
Oh no, I heard what you said. I was just thinking like,
yeah,
no, it's
okay,
definitely a thing. Like I'm at a point.
yeah,
I didn't know when you can't predict when a pandemic is going to be, what time period of your life is going to be. But
yeah,
just the fact that it happened when I turned 65 was like it's changed everything. So everything is different now. Like, do I want to go to Lincoln, Nebraska for a weekend and for $2,000 and a case of COVID? I
yeah.
think it's going to get better. I think by the end of this year, maybe it's going to, but we don't know, right?
Yeah, we were hoping it would be better by now,
I
and now look
know.
at it. Bodies are piling up and cases are piling up. It's terrible.
What's the Oklahoma governor like?
Oh, we want to get into that on this show.
I'm going to get anything because I'm into Oklahoma. There's nobody good there, right?
Well, I mean, not like at this. Well, I wouldn't say
Uh,
even that. The governor's terrible. He's dumb and terrible. Like
what's his name?
Kevin Stitt.
Oh, okay. I just see his name in the.
Yeah, you've probably seen some stories about him. He's not a bright one. Um, he's
I like what you did that. Yeah.
he's not. I mean, he just was just some businessman from Tulsa who bought a whole bunch of ads on Facebook and self-funded his campaign and won a Republican primary against the lieutenant governor and the 16-year mayor of Oklahoma City. So yeah,
Is Oklahoma
he's
City progressive on its own?
how do I say this? So there's progressive elements of Oklahoma City, but I wouldn't say that it's like a Democratic stronghold.
Right.
Like I think it did go for Biden, but only by like 1 or 2%.
Right.
But like it's kind of hard, but it's kind of hard to categorize because Oklahoma City itself is huge and has like so many different areas and parts. So like there's parts of Oklahoma City that are kind of like suburb-ish, and it's just like
Right.
a bunch
Right.
of wealthier people. And then there's parts where it's just like working class people and people of color. And so like it's kind of a mixed bag of political beliefs and whatnot. But the current mayor is also a Republican. But like, some of the people in the city council are progressive, and
That's good.
yeah.
We'll take it.
Norman is the blue city, like the big blue city in Oklahoma.
Oh, because that's where the school is, right?
Yeah. One of the schools, but yeah. OU, yeah. The
One of the schools.
popular
That's
one.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goes Oklahoma State. And I don't
Yeah.
have to tell you, you know.
Yeah.
It's
But
so fun. I haven't been there in so long. That's one state I have not been to since the 80s.
really?
One, yeah.
Jeez. You need to come back here.
Well, post COVID. I don't know. Now there tends to be better comedy clubs than there were in the 90s and the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
In the 80s, when the comedy club boom happened, the clubs in like Tulsa or Jokers, they were called, the audiences were pretty bad. But everything's changed now, I think.
I hope so.
I hope so. It's hard to say that anything has changed when Trump was in charge.
Yeah.
It's gotten worse, is what I think I'm trying to say that.
Yeah. But yeah, Oklahoma's governor, not great. I don't even know how we got here. How did we get here again? We were talking about
somewhere. You were talking about big cities. We're talking about big cities, small cities. And well, I'm interested because you're running for state office.
Yeah. The office I'm running for represents, the district is my hometown of Shawnee, a little town called Bethel Acres, and then parts of, I believe, McLeod, and a part of Earlsboro, and a little town called Johnson. But it's mostly Shawnee. Yes, this is the first time. Yeah.
How'd you become familiar with the Majority Report?
Oh, so it was just like the internet. Because I didn't really have access to YouTube when I was in high school. When I moved to college, I got to use the school's Wi-Fi, and I believe I started watching the Jimmy Dore show.
Oh no.
And I was aware, I think the first time I'd heard of the Majority Report was Jimmy and Sam's like debate they had, but I had watched it months after it happened, maybe almost a year after it happened. So that was the first time I'd heard of it. And I decided to start watching in August of 2017, which is like a year after I started college, but I started watching then, and kept watching every day, and eventually stopped watching Jimmy Dore.
But do you have a theory that you can because I know Jimmy from comedy, so I have my own. It's hard to have a theory about it. To me, he's an opportunist. I understand that, but it's surprising because you didn't see. I mean, I guess maybe there's no way to see it coming in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're Alex Jones, or it's obvious from a young age. But what do you think? What happened? What happened to him?
I think let me put on my, my psychologist hat. I think he's exhibits symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder, honestly. Like, a lot of it is there. And the thing with narcissists is, yes, he does the clips and stuff, attacking other people for attention and whatnot. Right. And that's part of it. But the way that he attacks people is like, how do I say this? It's shameless, and the way that he does it is so like strong, and like, I don't know how to say it, but like, there, and then some of the other things he says and does, and how he, a good example was like how he talks about his interactions with people. Like, I won't go into the specific details, but like how he talked about what he said to Anna Kasparian when he worked with TYT about her skirt or whatever. And
Oh,
he wanted to make it sound like he like owned her and then wanted to apologize for like making fun of her or something, but like he thought that he was like being funny and he thought he was being nice to her by apologizing, but that's like a narcissistic way of thinking
yeah.
of things. Like he didn't actually apologize for the thing he did for what it was. He apologized for the sake of appeasement, even though he didn't really take it serious. Like either way, but that's kind of how I think of
I was
Jimmy.
arguing with him. I forgot. I for a long time. Oh, I just said I would. I was unfollowing him, or whatever. I made an announcement that I'm unfollowing him, and then he wrote to me, and he's like, was something like, but like the tone was like, "Hey man," the tone was almost like, "Hey man, this is all promotion, baby. It's all promotion." It's like you can't believe, and I swear to God, I still haven't looked this up. He said, I'm being ratioed. I know I should know this by now. What does that mean? Ratioed.
It means when you tweet something and most of the replies or the quote tweets to it are disagreeing with you and dunking on you for what you're saying. That's what being ratioed means.
But is it a good thing in terms like of an algorithm of causing trouble?
Yes, technically yes.
So that's what Jimmy's trying to do.
Yes.
So that's
because
what he's saying. He's saying the ratios are great. Like he's saying, like, we're two professional wrestlers or something like that. That's how I took it.
yeah,
See, because he even said to me, see in the green room somewhere. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
yes. Yeah, like, and the thing is that when people say he's like a grifter or whatever, like I agree, but I don't think he actually thinks of it that way. To him, it is just like what he does and how he thinks. Like, it's not necessarily that he's consciously choosing to chase the numbers and chase the clicks.
Right.
That's just what narcissists do. Like, they act that way. And when they have platforms like he does, it's even worse because it gets to affect more people. He gets to make money off of it. And it's like an even bigger toxic thing as opposed to just your friends and family being affected. You have thousands of people online having to deal with it or being affected by what he's saying.
Out of that.
But yeah.
Well, we don't have to worry about him coming out of it, but like
the people who are fans of his.
Yeah.
Because like
has he gotten a bigger? Has he gotten a bigger following from this?
Yes, because like when I stopped watching him, he only had, I want to say like 400,000 subscribers or 500,000. And now he has 900,000.
Wow.
And I stopped watching him in mid 2018. So that was like almost 4 years ago. So yeah, he's grown. And he gets a lot of views and likes from, the anti-vax stuff that he puts out. But
the anti-vax stuff.
Yeah, like, oh wow. But yeah, like oh wow, that Jimmy though. But yeah, like
he's working it now. He's really working it.
Yeah.
Big time.
Oh yeah. But I found the majority report partially due to that. And became a fan of Michael Brooks' show. And started calling into the majority report occasionally. But yeah, that's how I came across the majority report, which is also funny because with Sam, I didn't know it at the time, but I had actually heard him be the voice of a character on home movies. Because I used to wake up early in the morning when I was like 9 years old, and 4 a.m. in the morning, Adult Swim would play an episode of home movies during like the weekdays. Yeah, it was weekdays, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
What
that's
was
where I had first heard Sam Cedar, and probably you as well, because I think
Yeah, I
that,
was Principal
yeah,
Linden.
yeah, because I think that technically predates me watching home movies predates Wizards of Waverly Place even coming on. 'Cause this
I
is
love
like,
that show, home movies.
yeah, this is a
It
good one.
was really fun to do too. Really
Yeah.
fun. Those were the days. Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah, how did you get to meet Sam?
All right, so Sam and I have been are met through comedy, all through comedy. So we were both friends with Sarah Silverman many, many years ago. I can't believe I've actually taken up on the. It would freak me out when the recently when people would start sentences with "so" when that got popular, so as if they've been talking. And now I'm doing it. So Sam, yeah. So we met through Sarah Silverman, and then we met through that he was doing this pilot season. Did you ever see that?
I never seen it. No,
Oh, it's
I haven't
pretty cool.
seen it.
So he did this whole thing with Sarah. So that's how I got to know him. And then through comedy, basically through comedy, I just always loved it. I always and I know that we both have been on Bob's Burgers too, but I just have always felt he was such a mensch, and always thought he was really funny too. So, and yeah, I really miss Michael, and it's rough.
Yeah, that's cool.
Michael is very loved. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Michael was great. I remember not too long after I started watching The Majority Report, I like messaged him on Facebook. I don't even remember what it was I was messaging him about, but I remember him telling me, "Hey, you need to watch my show." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I started watching, and then he came on my show back in April of 2020. Yeah, yeah,
It can't be.
Michael. Yeah,
It's that
April.
recent.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was almost 2 years ago.
Wow. It's
Yeah,
been a weird. Oh yeah, it hasn't been a good time period. I just came up with that one, so you can't use
yeah.
it. I'm copyright now. No, take it from me. Well, actually, I'm still hopeful. I don't know why I'm still hopeful about things. Because there's no other choice, maybe.
I guess. I mean, at this point, I don't know. Me, things are just like, I guess for me, I think this is the way a lot of people my age are about things. It's like things are just happening. Who know? Don't expect them to be good necessarily, but things are happening, and
Well,
we just have to deal with that.
very true. That's very true. Plus, I have to come off of like I have to go through time periods where I have to get off of Twitter and all these things because I let it get the rage gets to me sometimes, and it's not good for me. It's not good for
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, I
A happy warrior.
say what?
I'd rather be a happy warrior type person.
Yeah. Yeah. Twitter is especially, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Twitter is especially bad, like
Yeah.
compared to the other like social media sites. And I feel like a lot of young people know this because I'll make jokes with like high school students about how bad Twitter is, and they'll laugh with me.
Yeah, it's a snake
And
pit, people think, and it kind of
yeah,
is.
yeah, and I've met very few high school students that say that they're on Twitter. Twitter's not very popular with them. It seems like Twitter's something you get on when you graduate high school. Like, and then after that, it's because like I've met maybe a couple of kids that say that they're on Twitter, but like most of them are like on Instagram, Snapchat, stuff like that. Like, and so I tell them, I said, yeah, good, don't join Twitter.
It doesn't
No.
make it's going backwards, I think, for some people, in terms of the communication. There's less way, it's really more rigid. But I've always liked, I always liked the part of it where you could just tell jokes or whatever. I mean, not tell jokes, but you know what I mean, I like the free
Yeah.
form of it, but it still drives me absolutely crazy. I don't understand how to use Instagram, and I sound like an old man every time I say it, but I do think Instagram is kind of fun, but it's like a ride that you get on, and you feel like if you're not good at it, you're gonna get knocked off.
Mhm.
Things come popping up.
Yeah, I never liked Instagram.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, like, yeah, I don't really like it. I'll say that. I don't really use it necessarily. Like, I look at stuff, mostly just like stuff for bands and stuff like that.
I've always
But
hated Facebook.
like,
I've always
yeah,
hated it, except that family stuff's on Facebook.
yeah, like Facebook. Let's see. I'll say this, I'm neutral to Facebook.
Right.
Neutral. I think it has the potential to be a better platform than Twitter because you're not as limited in how you can talk.
Right.
Because like you don't have 280 characters that you have to limit yourself to. So you can actually say what you have to say. It's only up to other people to read it all. And you know, it's better to, you know, type out an essay in a Facebook post and people look at it and decide they don't want to read it and keep scrolling than tweet like, you know, a few words on Twitter that people misunderstand what you're saying or
Yeah,
read into it incorrectly or whatever. Then you have to go through a Twitter thread and explain what you mean, and then no one reads it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no good. You're right. You're right. But I don't want, I hate it on Facebook that everyone's negative comment would line up underneath the original post. So I used to get in the fights all the time on Facebook, although I've grown now. But and then on Facebook, I've noticed that there are some, like I'm still shocked when someone is overtly Trumpian.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah, because it's just they're racist or they're whatever that is, they're just disgusting. It's a disgusting point of view. So what I find really horrible is like on Facebook, I'm friends with comics and stuff, but then all of a sudden there's these people. It was more shocking to me for some reason on Facebook because I guess it was like some of these people were friends. I wrote to one of my friends. I go, "What is this guy that you're?" And then he said, "Well, I don't really know everybody who's I'm friends with because I was like that way with Facebook too when I first started.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a promotional and a friend thing.
Yeah.
So, but then it got to be like, but now I just don't really want to see. Really, like I can't even believe that people could listen to one episode of Joe Rogan all the way through. And that if you listen to him, you have to have gone to the other side, right?
Yeah.
Is he not a topic for you because you're so over him?
I mean, occasionally someone will ask me about him, but I don't really keep up with Joe Rogan. Just
well, I know nobody wants to keep up with him, but we want to make sure he's dangerous. You know, they're all dangerous. Everyone is dangerous. But this whole thing of where it did seem when I was younger that it mattered that if you lied,
yeah,
like you had to cover your lies. The Republicans have always been evil my entire lifetime, but they weren't. They at least tried to hide, and sometimes there would be people with principles.
Yeah.
But, now it's like they know that they're lying or they don't care that they're lying. It makes it a lot more exhausting.
Yeah, because I have this conversation with people sometimes, especially younger people or people my age. When I say younger people, usually I mean anyone under 30.
Right.
But like I'll talk to them about like the Republican Party or some people who are like a little bit older than that. They'll act like there was a good Republican Party in our lifetime. And I'm like, you being real right now? Like, I mean, I'm young, but I remember George Bush and that Republican Party. They were terrible.
Well,
Like,
also, I mean, my lifetime encompassed when the South turned and went
yeah,
Republican, and those were all horrible people.
yeah. Like, one thing I like bringing up with people is, remember Strong Thurmond?
Yeah, of course, right?
So he was a senator of South Carolina, flipped to be a Republican in 64. And he was a senator until 2000, what was it? 2001, I think, or 02,
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
actually,
Yeah, that was my lifetime. And not only that, but guess who was the person who took his place after he retired?
oh,
Lindsey Graham.
oh my God.
So it's like, that's not that far from, like, like the literal Jim Crow days.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Like I tell that to people, like, sure, he was 100 and something when he died, but he died in my lifetime. It was a senator in my lifetime, and there's like a decent portion of people who voted for him in my lifetime.
Right.
Like, we're not that far from, like, the Jim Crow racist South and America days where, like, Black people couldn't vote or sit where they wanted to sit, or whatnot. Like, another thing I say to people is that when my parents were born in 1961, they couldn't vote. And then some people will say, like, oh, it was because they were babies. It's like, no, it was because they were Black.
Oh, I mean, that would be like, yeah. I mean, the thing is, that's a thing that's like jolting, is when you go like when you go back to where colleges, I did not allow people in, back to that time period. And it's like,
yeah.
And the fact that I'm on, like I've had so many wars with so many horrible people. But I think it was with when I was calling Anthony of Opie and Anthony racist.
Mhm.
You remember them, Opie and Anthony? Maybe you're too young to remember them.
I'm too young to remember it, but I've heard of them.
Right. So
Yes.
Just remember how, like Anthony's point was that he goes, you ever look back at the moon landing? He goes, how come there's no Black people? If the Black people are so good, how come they're not there in the control room? Well, he literally doesn't understand. He sees an all white thing and he goes, hey, be like if you showed him a footage of baseball in the 30s. Go, look, oh, you say the Black people are so good? Not one of these players is Black. I mean, this is what his argument was about, because he really is kind of a racist. So he had to kind of really, really protect that. But not only that, though, it was even more as a comedian. It's kind of amazing how quickly things have changed on sexual stuff, gender and all that. Because, I'm from the generation where Ellen couldn't say she was gay. Male comedians rarely say. I think that's a positive thing. It's like those things have changed radically, because I remember being depressed before you were born when Clinton came into office. I thought he had sold out because he did don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible system. But people don't, even when Obama first went into office, I think he wasn't telling the truth about it. He said, like, he didn't know how he felt about gay marriage.
Yeah.
See, I think he did know how he felt, but he figured, one thing at a time. But that just shows how fast things can change, but how backwards we're coming from. Like, I used to think, I was born in 1956, 11 years after Hitler. It's over. We dodged the bullet. I mean, it's like, thank you. We've made it. And I think that was probably an illusion to have that kind of thing. Like, we're through it now. All the bad guys are gone.
Yeah, like I talk about this with students sometimes about how fast things have changed, even just like in my lifetime, like since I was in high school and middle school. Like I remember gay marriage, that was like a huge debate that people would have when I was in high school. And then it was made legal in 2015, which was the summer before my senior year. And like now I've never had a student say that they think gay marriage should be illegal or that like
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
of that nature. I've actually had kids who consider themselves to be Christian Republicans say that they think not only should gay people be able to get married, but they should be able to adopt kids, because if they don't want people having abortions, they, as in the conservative,
Right,
then
right.
they should want gay people to be able to adopt those kids. And I was just like, wow, like you're conservative and you think this? Like this is
Did
like,
you get these people up in your head?
no, these are real people. Like I'm sitting here, I'm just like, this is light years above where we were just like 5, 6 years ago when I was in high school. Because I remember atheist Republicans telling me when I was in high school that they were against gay marriage. And I was like, but
Oh,
you like how? Like what is the point of your atheism if you're just gonna agree with like the worst parts of Christianity anyway? Like it's just like, but like it was like it's night and day. Like not to say that all the homophobia is just gone, but like
but it's so different. It's
so different, night and day, very much night and day compared to where it was when I was in high school.
We'll just look at stand-up comics. The subject matter of stand-up comics, of the topics that are talked about now, that would never have been talked about even 5 years ago. You know,
Yeah,
I think it's great.
yeah, it is. But yeah,
We solved all the problems.
yes, we have solved all of the problems. Everything's good now. Um, I don't even know why I'm running for office. Everything's good.
Yeah, that should be.
No.
Don't make that your platform though. That's not good. Folks, you know what?
Yes.
On second thought, here's the big. Vote for me. On second thought, though, you know what? Things are okay. So it's your call.
Oh, is that a threat? No. So you originally wanted to be a musician, or were a musician, are
Right.
a musician.
Yeah, I
What
like you said that.
what instruments did you play, and do you still play?
When I was a young boy, I played classical violin. It's such a depressing story because my parents told me that I wanted to play. Anyway, I think I did like it for like 2 weeks, and then it became the bane of my existence. I hated it, and I hated practicing, and that's a whole kettle of fish. But I did learn to read music from it. And then when I was in my teens, I started playing guitar. When I broke my arm, for some reason, I broke my left arm. And I couldn't go out and do anything. So I could form chords with my arm, and it didn't affect my strumming. So that's when I actually learned how to play.
Hmm.
And so guitar and violin, but I wouldn't play. I wouldn't recommend listening, to be honest. And I still play guitar, and I'm
Okay.
still. I went the whole thing because I went the whole thing where I didn't get into therapy till I was 59 years old. So I used to say I was the oldest Jewish person to get into therapy, and I never realized I wanted to make a living in the music business, and I really loved writing songs, and I didn't realize until I got into therapy that the reason why I stopped doing it, and the reason why I had mixed feelings about it, was like my sister had a voice of like an angel. She's passed away, but she had like the voice of an angel. But we all grew up, something about how our parents raised us, where it was kind of, the message was, yeah, you can't really do it. You can kind of, I mean, it's like you can go for your dream, maybe you could go for your, but it's not really feasible. So, like, my dad didn't, he encouraged me as a comedian, but so in other words, the bottom line was I hated the way my voice sounded.
Hmm.
And so after all these years in therapy, now I'm actually more excited about music because I didn't realize how much I hated myself in general before therapy. And how damaging that was, and exhausting it was. And to ask yourself questions that really can never answer, like if you want to be a comedian, you should just try and be a comedian. But if you want to be a comedian, only if you've answered the question, are you funny enough? There's no way you're ever going to know those things. I mean, sometimes you know them, but I mean, we know there are people who are completely unfunny.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I played trumpet when I was in high school and middle school.
Like, was it fun?
Yeah.
You still play?
Um, no. I pick it up occasionally to make sure I still know how to play it, but I don't play it as much as I did when I was in school.
And doesn't it require a whole setting of your mouth? Like you have to, like, you have to get back in shape, right?
Probably to do a lot of the harder stuff, but like in general, not necessarily. What I would do is I would make a point to pick it up once during the summer, like after
Cool.
since I graduated. So like, or maybe a couple times during the summer, and play some of my favorite stuff that I liked playing. Which a lot of it was just stuff from middle school that I liked playing. Some of the more patriotic type songs that we played for Veterans Day assemblies, some of the Christmas stuff. So,
Do you like marching and stuff?
I did. Most of the marching band stuff we did was like marching band shows.
Right.
And I still have some of that sheet music somewhere from all the shows we did. Each of the 4 years, and then we had the stand tunes that we had to play when we went to football games, and I'm pretty sure I hate half of those songs now and can't listen to them without wanting to die. But
when you're standing and you're moving around too.
no, in the stands we just stand there. But
okay, that sounds like my speed.
Yeah. But yeah, because like, what was it? Some of the songs we played, like Seven Nation Army by White Stripes. I hate that song now. Can't listen to it anymore. What else is there? There's some songs in there that I never liked to begin with, but now I just can't stand them. Like we played Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. I can't stand that song now. Iron Man by Black Sabbath. Can't stand that song now.
I don't even know those songs. I really am. I did not have a steady diet of heavy metal or even Led Zeppelin. I don't even know that much about.
Oh wow, that's
I know.
sad.
I love Talking Heads.
Oh yeah.
And then earlier I was more like into the Beatles, and I was a Bob Dylan fanatic. I love Bob Dylan so much.
Is there any newer music you like?
I like wait a second. This is just, you just got me you caused me to lock down as soon as you said newer music, because I was going to talk about that. I like roots kind of music, like Lucinda Williams and Steve Earle, and it's kind of country music in a way. But I also loved I was influenced a lot by the 80s, REM.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the Talking Heads were my favorite group for a long time. Paul Simon. Paul Simon does some music, Andy. Why is it I think it's probably because I have ADHD and OCD. So I think it's actually a form of anxiety why my mind goes blank. Either that or it's the slowest onset of dementia ever. It's been happening for years.
I also have ADHD, so I know the feeling. Adderall helps, but
Adderall helps. It's been we should do a show. I'm on Adderall, you're on Adderall, let's get it hosted. No, that's probably not good. It's probably not good to push Adderall. Hi, I'm Andy. Like pushing like what are the classic podcast ones that they still sell? I can't believe it. What do they well, they do the one where they had the toothbrush for a while, you know. Like right now, Andy Kindler listeners, if you go to quickpick.com and order
Yeah.
your whatever the hell that is.
I know
Well, how
what you're
can you
talking
think
about.
of any other products?
I would love to promote Adderall if only like it meant I get like a free supply of it for like the rest of my life. That'd be cool. I would sell out for that. Okay. I'll
When did
say
you
that right
start on
now.
Adderall?
Last year, actually.
Oh wow! Welcome to the
yeah.
club. Ow! Woo!
Yeah, because I found out I had ADHD as an adult. After a very confusing 22 years of life. And
I found out when I was 50.
Yeah, that's got to be
It
terrible.
was a fake disease till then. Seriously, I thought it was like, oh, I must be crazy.
Yeah, I like, but yeah, I started last year, like in, what was it? It was during the summer, like May, late May, June, somewhere in there. But yeah, it's been good, helpful. I tried another one before Adderall, and it didn't really work for me.
What was it?
Strattera.
Yeah, Strattera. I've tried Strattera. It doesn't. Strattera is more like if you're sensitive to Adderall. That's how I think. Actually, some people, I don't even. Why do I start launching into informative things? I'm flying on the seat of my. What am I, a psychopharmacologist? But I did take Strattera at one point, and it did seem not as good. And you know what I really like is New Vigil, Provigil.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, they used to use them. Jet pilots use them. Because sometimes I think if you can cycle off of Adderall to something else, because sometimes I build up a tolerance, but then sometimes I've been taking it for like 10 years, happily. And we'll be right back after these words from Adderall. Are you down? You often, it's so easy to sell Adderall too.
You know
it sells itself.
Yes.
You're supposed to now you have to do a Joe Rogan like listener warning.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
No, for Joe Rogan it's DMT. For me it's Adderall. That's what it is. That's
Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan.
But no, but yeah. It also, okay, so I don't know if this has been your experience, but when you started taking Adderall, did it also help like your sleep cycle get better, or did it mess it up?
It hasn't affected my sleep cycle. It's made me, the only thing that's affected my sleep cycle is if I do Adderall too late in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
But what
me,
affected my sleep cycle was I didn't realize I needed a CPAP machine. So that I had sleep apnea really kind of like a real, not, just like I had my whole life. So that's what immediately changed my sleep cycles. But I still have problems sleeping. But how about you?
Well, when I started taking it, it like pretty much helped fix my sleep schedule. Like, I think it's because it's a stimulant, so it like kind of like,
Got you moving around and
and or at least more alert and less likely to just like fall asleep in the middle of the day.
Right.
But also it kept me from like I never really stayed up late either. Because what my problem used to be was I would just stay up too late and go to sleep too early or too late and then have to wake up early or something like that. But like when I started doing the Adderall, it's I like I would wake up around the same time and go to sleep about the same time, and I would, get a decent, depending on the day when I had to wake up, at least a good 5 to 7 hours of sleep. And like it was the first time that I had been on a consistent sleep schedule, and I'm still on it too. Like I haven't had too many days where I couldn't sleep.
That's great.
Like, and that was the first time I'd been on like a decent sleep schedule where I fell asleep somewhere between 10 and 11, 10 and
Yeah.
12, and then woke up at like whatever time I need to wake up. It's usually at 4 a.m. But like still like waking up at a consistent time and feeling decent during the day and not tired during the day. First time that's happened since I was like maybe 10. Like my sleep schedule and pattern had been off ever since I was like 10 years old or so. You know, when I like around the time I started watching movies at 4 a.m.
Right.
But yeah, like it helped me really well with that. And I think it's because it keeps me from wanting to fall asleep in the middle of the day. Cause I used to be one of the people that would have to like, if I came home after a long day, I would have to take a nap and then continue to do something. But now I don't have to do that anymore. I'll still feel like tired, but I won't feel like, oh, I need a nap. But yeah,
you might have to, but you might have to revisit everything at some point, because everyone should take a sleep test at one point. Because if you do have sleep apnea, I didn't know I had it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was 60 times an hour, I was stopping breathing.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm not wishing that on you. No.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think I have, at least I'd like to think I don't have very many sleeping issues. I don't wake up as much in the middle of the night as I used to sometimes. Sometimes that would also be a problem where I'd like wake up too many times, but lately that hasn't been a problem either. If I do wake up, it's like maybe once.
That's great.
But
I'm rooting for this to continue.
Me too. I mean, I kind of can't have it not continue because I'm so busy now. So it's like, yeah. Let's see. So you don't, what was it, REM? REM, I want to say it's two of their songs. Yes, two of their songs. Losing My Religion.
Yeah, that's a classic.
And Into the World.
Oh, yeah.
Know it, that one. Yeah.
About I am Superman.
There's probably one or two others because I've heard a few of their songs because I listen to a lot of like old stuff randomly, like on MTV Classic. Because the reason why I like Losing My Religion so much is because a band that I listened to, one of my favorite bands, Lacuna Coil, they covered it about 10 years ago, and it made me listen to Lacuna Coil. They're an Italian gothic metal band, but they mostly speak in English, so it's not, they're just from Italy. But yeah, they covered it, and I liked their cover, and it made me look up the original, which I'd heard the original before, but I hadn't heard it that many times. But now I listen to it occasionally, and I really like it. But when it comes to music, I mostly listen to rock and metal. I've been on a huge old school hip hop kick lately. Mostly because I've been obsessed with the different samples that they used in the songs back in the day. There's a lot of James Brown samples, and I've been like also listening to a lot of James Brown lately because of that too.
I love James Brown. Did they have to pay for the James Brown samples?
I think back then they did, but it was like different, like payment. Like it was like they didn't have to pay as much back then because I think the sampling laws changed after like the late 80s, early 90s. So now it's like way more expensive to use samples in songs, because back then they were using samples like it was like going out of style. Like if
Yeah.
you there like there's a website I found called whosampled.com, and if you type in a song, you can find out all the different samples that are in it. And some of these old school hip hop songs have like 10 different samples in the
Wow, that's
song.
crazy.
Yes, like and some of this I knew, like I knew there was a lot of sampling, but like I actually started like looking into all these different samples, and I'm like, oh, like this entire song is basically just like a compilation of samples.
Wow.
Like, what is it? Do you know the song "Fight the Power" by Public
Mhm.
Enemy?
Yeah, from the Spike Lee movie originally.
Yes, "Do the Right Thing." Yeah. So basically, the entire instrumental to that song is like 12 different samples.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Listen to that again. Yeah.
like it's I think it's 4 different James Brown songs. So you got Funky Drummer. Like Funky Drummer by James Brown has been sampled by everybody. That's like the most sampled like drum loop in
Is it
history.
the dum, 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 dum?
No. It's the one
I love that one.
it's no, it's I'm trying to think of what other songs it's in. It's in Fight the Power. It's also in what's the LL Cool J song? Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. It's in Humpty Dance by Digital Underground. It's in several different songs. Like it's everywhere, but like a lot of the songs were just like samples upon samples and different layers of samples. It's really interesting to me. Like it's kind of cool because it's like they made something new out
Right.
of all these different pieces of things. And if you didn't know any better, you would have thought it was like mostly original, that they all just like came up with it. And I mean, in a way, yeah, they did come up with it because you had to know all those different samples and test them out to see if they work together and how they
Unless it
sounded
was something
together.
obvious like Can't Touch This being the
Rick James, or not Rick James. Yeah, Rick James. Yeah, Super Freak. Yeah,
free.
yeah.
Like once you figure it out, I mean, once you realize that you can't even listen to the song anymore.
I know, right? Because now, like, because like for me now, it's like I can't listen to an old school hip hop song without thinking, oh, I think I hear the sample in it. Let me look it up. So no, it's like in a way, it has not, I wouldn't say it's ruined the listening experience, it's enhanced it, but it's also given
Yeah.
me like anxiety about it too, because it's like now I can't just sit and listen to a song anymore. I have to look it up and see, oh, what is this? Is this a James Brown sample again? Or is this a Sly and the Family Stone sample in here? Or is this a what else? Amen Brothers drums loop or something? Like it's like I can't not do that anymore. And it's kind of like annoying, but it's also fun. And now it's like a new party trick now. I'll start talking to people like, hey, did you know that the song sampled this and this and this? And did you know that the reason why the beat or no, what's the one? No, okay. The Humpty Dance by Digital Underground and Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J, they both sample the drum loop, the drum break in Funky Drummer by James Brown, and the drums in what's it called? Sing a Simple Song
Oh,
by
Sly.
Sly. Yeah, Sly and the Family Stone. And they layer them the same way. And so the beats to those songs sound very similar because of those two samples being used together. And those two
Wow.
samples and those two samples are also used together in Fight the Power. But Humpty Dance and Mama Said Knock You Out sound way more similar because like there's less samples being used than in Fight the Power. So if you listen to both Mama Said Knock You Out and Humpty Dance, they sound the same. They're just one is faster than the other. And I know, and it's so weird because like I noticed this after I've heard both of those songs. Well, I know I've heard Humpty Dance a million times because I love those songs when I was a kid. But Mama Said Knock You Out, I've only heard a handful of times. But like, I'm surprised no one's ever like said like, wait, don't these two songs sound alike? and like, and it's funny because some people will say that Mama Said Knock You Out sampled Humpty Dance, and I'm like, that's not true because if you look it up, they kind of came out about the same time. So like it would be almost impossible for that to have happened. But also it's funny to me to think, how would that conversation had gone? Like LL Cool J has the song about wanting to knock people out and murder people, but someone says, hey, let's sample the Humpty Dance and put it in the song. Like that just sounds like the most unreal conversation that ever happened. like it's just like really? No, I don't think so. They just used two other samples that were similar. Okay, but yeah, like no. But see, we both go on the tangents. It must be.
I'm the king of tangents. I wrote the book on tangents, and now if I went off on a tangent, it would be funnier. I wrote the book on tangents. You know what I was thinking about the garden today? Like that.
So is there anything that you're working on currently?
Well, today I came up with, I was Andy, I was being a wandering Jew and a wandering Jew at the same time. So I was on the streets and I was wondering while I was wandering. I don't think it's solid enough to take off really. No, you know, the things that I'm doing, I actually am not thinking about doing anything new right now, but I have the podcast that I really love to do, and it's been really a lot of fun recently. It's called Thought Spiral with Josh Elvis Weinstein. And then I think I was thinking about maybe putting out, I'm really proud of this album that I just put out, like right when the pandemic started, called Hence the Humor. So I think I'm proud of those things right now. So I don't really have to think about anything else. I wish I was more ambitious, but I do watercolors. I would like to eventually do like a memoir with watercolors, and because I don't like straight writing. I can't straight write that long. I go crazy. So I'm very happy, but I guess I am missing stand-up. I guess I'm missing, but I don't have no desire to see people. You know,
that's good.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't trust the system. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't trust the. I can't think of anything I used to do, like hang out at comedy festivals, and just isn't ready yet.
Yeah. Another thing I was going to ask you, I was going to talk to you about SNL a little bit more. Do you still watch SNL like even now? Okay, cool. You and me and 5 other people.
Well,
what is?
I love Colin.
Yeah,
and Michael Che. I love them.
Yes, I was about to ask what your favorite part of SNL was. Mine is the Weekend Update. It's always the Weekend Update. Yeah,
I love those guys together, and there's a lot of incredibly funny things. I mean, there's a lot of incredibly funny, like, individual performers on the show now. They're just amazing.
Yeah,
and Kate McKinnon. How great is Kate McKinnon? And so I actually, there was a time period where I really didn't. I've always hated Lorne Michaels, so I could only focus on how horrible he was. But now I'm actually watching it more. I watch it more than I used to watch it. You know, I think that who they have, it's like there used to be a show that was like went by stereotypes. So they had Garrett Morris, and now it's all not that they went by stereotypes, but it's like for so long they was so limited
Yeah.
of who they had. I think that's all broken up now. Like I mean, it's like about time, but it still
Yeah.
seems exciting to me.
Yeah. Like, what is it? Like, well, when I remember it was a few seasons back. It's like 4 seasons ago, maybe. They had like 5 black cast members. That was like insane. Like a third of the cast was black. I was like, how'd they let this happen?
Well,
Usually it's like no.
don't they have 4 now? I mean, they have Chris
I
Red.
think it's 4. Yeah, I think it's 4 now.
Well, but you have to think of it. Why is a white person? Why do I know how many there are? That's not a good sign.
Right? I know, right?
Why
But
am I
like,
tracking it?
but like at the time I was like, it was just interesting to me because like in the past, I think the most there had been was like 3. And that was like in the 90s or like maybe some brief part in the 2000s. So I think Vanessa Mitchell, Kenan Thompson, and someone else was on at the same time for like a year or 2. I don't know, but like it was an interesting time, and they were all funny. And Leslie Jones was, I think she's the oldest person that SNL ever hired. I think she was like 40. She was in her 40s whenever she was hired, and she was really funny.
Yeah.
I miss her on SNL. She was great. But yeah, for me, Weekend Update's always been the best. Like the
woman who does Janine Pirro, I love her.
Yes, what was it? Cecily Strong.
Yeah, Cecily Strong.
Yeah. What was
and I also love she did a show too afterwards. A.D. Bryant. I love A.D. Bryant. I mean, there's so many. And the new guy who does Trump is pretty amazing.
Yes. Yeah. He's great.
They're loaded with talent. But then
Yeah.
I do think that I think the deal is, I just thought about this, that they never really had a showrunner on that show because Lorne Michaels is just a horse's ass kind of. So you really, there's never been someone who could craft the vision. So it's always been up to the people kind of fighting. I don't know. I'm not on the show, but I'm saying, but you know that he just like, what is he going to do? He goes, bring me my popcorn. I mean, what note is he going to give?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the thing that's been weird about the show is like, it does seem like sometimes now whoever's choosing the sketches, it seems like they choose weird ones, but I don't know if I feel that way because I enjoy it every week. I enjoy watching every week.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, occasionally it's kind of a thing where, let's see, they choose the stronger sketches to go first.
Right.
Because I know usually after Weekend Update, I don't feel bad about falling asleep afterwards. I'll still check because I record it, but like I after Weekend Update, I'm like, okay, I can go to sleep.
And everyone's like, a later sketch will be great. They just didn't realize it's great.
Yeah. But no, I was gonna say, who of all the people who have done Weekend Update, who was your favorite, or individual or pairing, I guess?
It's one of those things where I never felt into it that much. Like, I never past the original people.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Dennis Miller that much. I like when Norm did it.
Yeah.
But I would say the current, I hate to say it, but I hate to say it. Why should I hate to say it? The current pair might be the best because they it's not like I didn't like Tina Fey and Jimmy Fallon that much.
Really?
Well, I have a problem with Tina Fey. I have a problem with Tina Fey and Jimmy Fallon, but it's like I have to remember my grudges are still current because Jimmy Fallon I never liked that much because it always seemed like he was vapid, you know. But But Norm, I think, did a pretty funny job with it. And I can't remember all the other people who it was now.
Yeah. This is Norm. I don't
Colin,
know if I yeah, Colin Joe or not Colin Joe's Colin Quinn.
right.
Yeah. Because I like
Seth Meyers.
I like Seth Meyers a lot.
Seth Meyers is very funny. I
Yeah.
like when he went after Trump too.
Yeah, he was good. Um I liked Amy Poehler and Tina Fey when they did it.
They're very funny. I like when they host award shows.
Yeah. Um
But Jimmy, I never liked as it because it was like you're kind of like playing like he's like the silly guy. You know what I mean? He's still the silly guy who's not that connected
Yeah.
to the story even.
I liked some of the sketches he was in. Not all of them, but there's some here and there that I liked. Oh, what did you think of Andy Samberg and the SNL digital shorts?
I really never liked those that much, and I kind of I don't know why I got this thing that's Andy Samberger and Andy Samberger. He doesn't make me really laugh that much,
Mhm.
so I think I'm almost like at this point, it's too late for me to get back into those things. And things like Dick in the Box and
Yeah.
all those things seem. I wasn't crazy about. I like the songs they do now. I think they do
Yeah.
more now than they've ever done in a way.
Yeah.
It's looser somehow. What'd you think of those guys? The those Island Boys.
Lonely Island. Yeah. I liked a lot of their stuff that they did. I was rewatching a lot of those old shorts recently. I liked a lot of those. They were the ones like whenever I first started watching Saturday Night Live, I looked forward to seeing them. I even bought like the first 2 CDs of The Lonely Island when I was like 14, something like that. I liked a lot of the songs too. Some of them were funny and catchy. But yeah, I like that kind of stuff. It was interesting. And let's see. Yeah. I can't remember what else I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I'm
we
lost.
have 88. It's 2 ADHD people.
Right? But yeah. No, the thing I like about the Weekend Update, I guess this is like the history major in me, in the politics person in me, is like no matter what, I can watch what's his face? Who was the first guy that did it? Chevy Chase. Yeah, I can watch him do it in 75 and still laugh at like all the jokes pretty much.
That was really like he was doing a takeoff on news people.
Yeah, or I could watch it in like who did it in like 84 or 86 or whatever. Dennis Miller, I mean, he was all right. He's not one of the people that like I'll look up clips of necessarily. Yeah. Norm I've done that before. Colin Quinn was all right.
I couldn't understand Colin Quinn that way. He has a weird accent.
Yeah,
so I don't understand him that well.
Yeah,
it'd be like having James Dean do it.
Let's see. Who did it before Norm? It was Dennis Miller, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Dennis Miller. Dennis Miller, the Norm, and Colin, then Jimmy.
Dana Carvey do it?
No. That would have been something to see though.
Yeah.
Oh, Dana Carvey's George Bush impression is funny though.
Oh yeah, he's great because he never did like he didn't do mimicky. He just got the gist of things and was so great with it.
Yeah.
His stand-up act was great, Dana Carvey.
Yeah. Let's see. There's another question I was gonna ask you. Damn. Oh well.
Well, we'll have to have it has to be a cliffhanger.
Yeah. But yeah, oh, what do you think of Pete Davidson?
I kind of like Pete Davis. I really think he's funny. He makes me
He
laugh.
is.
He makes
Yeah.
me laugh a lot. Uh, and
Yeah.
I did only watch a little bit of the movie. I don't know how good the Staten Island movie was, but I think he's great.
Yeah. I remember when he got hired, he started, oh, this feels like forever ago. When people start saying how long ago this was, it feels like I'm old, but this is only like 2014 when he started.
Wow, that is
And
amazing.
that's like almost 8 years ago. I'm like, how was that almost 8 years ago? Like, no. But no, he was born in 93. So I remember when he got hired, I was like, oh, this is like basically someone like my age on the show almost. Because I was born in 98, and and he was 20. Yeah, he hadn't turned 21 yet. So he was 20 when he got hired. And so I was really excited about that, and still am, because now I make jokes with people, because I say that I wanted to be a comedian when I was in middle school and wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. So I'll say to people, if I continue to want to be a comedian, I could be Pete Davidson right now. I could be dating Kim Kardashian. I could have dated Ariana Grande, but nope, I'm just running for office and being a substitute teacher who has a YouTube show. But no, but I could have been him. I could have been just like him.
Parallel tracks.
Yeah, but and then I think we have a younger one on there now. I think Bowen Yang was born in '95.
He's
So
funny.
yeah, he's funny. Yeah,
He's very funny.
yeah, he's he's good. And then what is Sarah? I can't remember her
She's
last
pretty good
name.
too.
She's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's actually like, she's a leftist. Like, I think she hosts like some left-wing podcast, something on Means TV.
Oh, now
When I saw that she got picked to be on SNL, I was like, oh, we actually finally have like an actual leftist on the show now. This is gonna be
what are we gonna do?
like, it's she's great. And especially when she mostly does like weekend update stuff. That's what I mostly notice her on the show. It's the
Right,
weekend
right.
update stuff that she does. She's really good at that. But yeah, but we've talked for like almost 2 hours now. But it's been fun. I really enjoyed this. Yeah,
A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
yeah. And the reason, I guess we could say the reason why it went twice as long is because we both have ADHD. So
Well, not only that, I also had technical problems. Right? As soon as you said, I forgot it was going to be video, and I had to put my outfit on.
yeah. But thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on. Where can we find you on social media? And
Still, I think Twitter's the main thing. It's Andy Kindler at Twitter, or however that address is. And then Thought Spiral, as they say, wherever you get your podcasts.
I get mine in the mail. No.
I get mine from a guy named Steve.
Steve Jobs?
No, he has a coat. He opens the coat. He goes, "What do you want? What do you need? What do you want? Slate? You want some slate?"
I remember there was this. What was that? There was this Chappelle Show sketch from like 2003 or whatever, where he said, "What if the internet was like a real place?" And it was like they were in a digital like mall, and like there was like I can't remember it, like, and there was like
life type thing.
Yeah, it was just like hilarious, and I can only imagine what that would be like today.
Right.
What that sketch would be like today, because it would be terrible. Could you imagine if the internet was like a real life place?
Shaming, kind of shame booth.
Yes, oh wow, like you get banned on Twitter, but like instead it's like you just die. Like,
Yeah.
wow, like that'd be insane.
It tends to cloud. What's that word from that movie? Tends to something the mind. Robert Duvall said it. I don't know. Focus the mind, that kind of thing.
Yes.
I,
Oh
I
wow.
I I thank you for having me on. It was fun.
Yeah.